So you feel like it was an agent in Sam Cooke death?
Oh, hell yeah.
With the girl, with the
hell yeah.
Yeah, I got you, yeah.
First of all, why would Sam Cooke go to a hotel that sleazy?
Yeah.
The chick takes all his clothes out the room. That was to make sure he was defenseless.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say the black hotel clerk shot Sam Cooke, right? A single bullet. But his family said when they looked at the body at the autopsy, Sam Cooke looked like he got beat up with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
They said his neck was broken. His fingers was crushed. Head was crushed.
Especially back in them days.
Guess who else said the same thing? Whitney Houston's people. Yes. Whitney Houston had
they say
scrapes,
thing was
bruises. Yeah. Her nails was cracked. Yeah. Whitney Houston fought.
What?
Yes.
I know that.
Oh, first made this up.
No, she was.
Her cousin got a hold of
I think I heard something the other day because they were saying that's why they was licking out on Ray J.
Yeah.
Because they say something about like Ray J opened the door or something like that.
Yeah, Ray J, they said Ray J brought her the dope, allegedly. But see, here's the question. Whitney Houston killers came into a hotel room, right?
Yeah.
That's a 5-star hotel, Hollywood Hilton, right?
Beverly Hills Hilton.
Can I ask you a question? Where the footage from the hallway? Where the footage from the hallway? Why we never saw the footage from the hallway? You know why? Because whoever had Whitney Houston murdered had enough power to make that footage disappear.
But kill Whitney for what though?
That's what I was gonna ask though. What she was fighting for?
I'm gonna tell you what I think she was fighting for. What do all masters? What do all entertainers do when they run out of money?
So they masters publishing.
What's the first thing they start looking at?
They publishing, they masters.
They publishing,
yes.
Their masters,
yes.
And all the royalties that I never got.
Yes, yes.
Ooh.
So Whitney Houston broke the Beatles record.
Yes.
Whitney Houston broke Elvis's record. Whitney Houston is the only black artist ever, not even Michael Jackson, to have 3 certified diamond albums. I Will Always Love You is the highest selling female song in world history. You understand me? Is she broke?
Facts.
I ain't never heard.
Whitney was going to order an audit on her publishing, her royalties, her masters. And there's somebody who couldn't afford that to happen. And that's why Whitney not here.
Yeah.
And isn't it ironic that Whitney Houston dies the same way that Jimi Hendrix dies? In a tub, in a hotel, allegedly from drugs. And we know why Jimi Hendrix was murdered, the greatest guitarist of all time, because Jimi Hendrix wanted to finance the Black Panther Party, but he didn't know that his agent, his manager, was an MI6 British intelligence agent.
What?
Damn.
Yeah, some games.
They gonna have you mapped out.
And Prince was murdered because Prince didn't want to sell his unpublished music to Warner Brothers. And Michael Jackson was murdered because he didn't want to sell the Beatles catalog back to Sony Records.
What you want to ask for?
And R. Kelly went to jail because Sony Records wanted his catalog.
Yeah.
R. Kelly is not in jail for pedophilia, although that's wrong and he should be if he's guilty. But that ain't why he there.
Yeah.
White folks been knew he was doing what he was doing. R. Kelly didn't go to jail till R. Kelly start questioning control of his masters. Bill Cosby goes to jail because the second largest oil company in the world wanted to drill under his home in Massachusetts and he wouldn't let him. And the reason they brought up the lawsuit with the ugly old white women is to financially bankrupt Bill Cosby, so he got to sell the house and the oil company gets the oil.
You sold the house?
I don't know.
Damn, but
he out of jail though.
Yeah, jail. Nah, he said he's going on tour. He said he's going on tour in the next couple months. So Bill serious.
Shout out to Bill Cosby, North Philly. Shout out to Meek Millie, North Philly.
I want to ask you one question.
Kevin Hart.
Is brand Jamaica a problem? Because like every era, every genre, every level of blackness and Jamaica is mentioned or somebody from Jamaica. Because I have a theory, but it's a fact. But the rest of the world don't understand what I'm saying. They blame the music, they blame how we do business. I'm trying to tell them it's none of that. You're gonna be a problem operating the business when you are seen as the enemy. Now, Jamaica is the enemy to me, brand Jamaica in itself, not just the music or the minerals or
Jamaica on the whole.
just Jamaica on the whole. I think the major world, the first world countries have something about Jamaica that is a serious problem.
But are you saying that, why is it a problem?
I know, but I was just seeing where your mind was towards brand Jamaica.
You think Jamaican people are getting held back in every aspect because they're so outspoken, they're so revolutionary, they fight against everything. They have so much morals. So he's trying to say that he feel like the world has a ban on Jamaica. Like,
Oh, I agree with that.
Okay.
Are Jamaicans discriminated against?
Right.
In particular,
in every sector.
because of their unapologetically African posture. Yes.
Thank you very much. The content.
Absolutely.
What we stand for. Because I'm trying
Absolutely.
I'm trying to tell people like I wasn't educated about apartheid or African National Congress or Bishop Tutu or Nelson Mandela or Winnie or President Botha on apartheid. I wasn't educated about that from school. I was educated about that from Jamaican artists singing about that situation. I have never heard about it in school. And I have like a vivid understanding of what was going on from artists in Jamaica like Brigadier Jerry Charlie Chaplin, Josie Whale, Jar Love, Stereograph, Sound System. That's the kind of content they were singing about.
Okay.
So it's said that those music helped to ignite the Nelson Mandela revolution and help him to become
for
free.
sure.
So I'm trying to tell people that it's not what's going on in Jamaica. No, Jamaica has been seen as an enemy by the British, the Europeans, all of these people who enslave Africans because we are so far diagonally based on what they calculate, we are so far away and we are like fighting the struggle in a region that we are not even physically there.
And that's why I think the Chinese strategically chose Jamaica as one of their first islands of attack.
Conquer, right.
Because if we can conquer Jamaica, what are the other islands going to do? You follow me? If the Chinese can take Jamaica, they can take the whole Caribbean.
And do you know that we have the most churches in any close proximity,
Jamaica.
right?
Yeah.
So also, because the love, Africans in general have a attraction to spirituality. That's why
Yes.
it has been, what you call it, infiltrated.
Which has been hijacked by religious
And
opportunities.
they gave us white Jesus. Jesus in general, because I think the name is wrong as well. Well, I know the name is wrong as well. So what they do is now give us that dying urge to be obedient to God or to that spirit. So what
and
they did,
to their particular God concept.
right. So they gave us a spirit and an image,
Yes.
an illusion to follow. So that helped weaken our fighting
Yes.
ability.
Religion
that we
kills the
had
revolutionary
before.
spirit.
So
Yes.
for me,
Yeah.
my thought process is, if we don't get rid of religion, if we don't get rid of the curriculum, the education, and if we don't feed ourselves, then we're in problems. Because when I study food, because studying the educational part and the information and the history, you'll understand that the food you eat has a lot to do with how fierce you are, how coward you are, how brave you are, how fearful you are. Now, the food that Jamaica had originally are originally foods that are present in Africa. So that's why Jamaicans are very versed on using bush, this tea that, eating this, not eating that. And then they now infiltrate that with all European made good food.
GMO food.
So now I have a little money. I used to be broke, right? So I was broke, the regular thing was chicken, chips, rice, flour. So getting money, getting educated more. I wouldn't say educated, because education is not good. I was garnering information about nutrition. So I was introduced to funio, kamut, spelt, wild rice, all these foods that they say are nutritional and great. But then when I check it, they are all African foods. They're originated grains and beans from Africa. So when I'm in like Miami or Fort Lauderdale, I want to go to an upscale restaurant because I don't want to see everybody every day because I'm a popular person. Somebody gonna be, oh, watch this, I watch that, I want to talk about it. I'm trying to eat some food. So I go to places that are a little more expensive so I don't get the bothering, you know what I mean? And when I look at the food list, in the more expensive place, like the Snow Bunny places, you know, I'm seeing wild rice. I'm seeing wild rice on the menu. I'm seeing asparagus a lot. Like food that Africans are supposed to be consuming are on the menu in these places. But when I go to the black community,
ain't nowhere,
and when I say, do you have wild rice? They're like, what are you talking about? I say, you have spelt flour? They don't know what I'm talking about. I go, I want some drink. I say, okay, can I get my tea with some agave? They're like, what is agave?
So what you feel like? What you feel like? Certain things they hide from us and they took it away and used it?
They definitely did that. Because if you are not healthy via nutrition, your spiritual connection is blocked as well. Your vision, you can't see, you can't. The ancestors don't know how to connect because your nerves are blocked. Because your nerves are like electrical wires were electric beams.
Well, on the foot before you make a man go,
I believe that.
One ask man some question.
Oh no, I just wanted to say that one thing about the Jamaican. It's the boss, you know what I mean? I'm learning a lot.
No, but hold on, Dr. Umar, I want to ask you, what's up with the women nowadays, Dr. Umar? Why these women nowadays want to be so independent and they want to be their own boss and I don't need a man and
what we have to take responsibility for that. Because the black woman has had to raise the children alone and hold down the community alone for quite a long time because of the war against black men. So we cannot expect our women to be submissive when they had a history of having to take care of the whole house, be the man and the woman by themselves. So I think we as black men can be somewhat disingenuous when we accuse black women of being too headstrong. She had to be in order to survive. And I think that if we want them to transform, to adopt a more feminine posture, because we would like that. But before she can do that, she has to be absolutely certain that we're going to hold her down. She has to be absolutely certain that we're not going to walk out on her, that when we commit to her, we're committing to her for good. Because sometimes it's best to stay in a struggle than to have somebody sell you a fairy tale of how they can make things better only to walk out on you. You understand? I wouldn't want us to do a Deion Sanders. You understand? Come there and get everybody hopes up and then walk out on them. And so, you know, I'm not in a rush to see my sisters change their attitude towards being independent until we as black men assure them that we are there for the long run. Because when she looks at all these black men dating out the race, she look at all the black men who want to be serial monogamous and players for the rest of their life, you know, I can't fault her from adopting that position, because being tough allowed her to raise them kids. Being tough allowed her to work them jobs. Being tough allowed her to hold down the community. Being tough allowed her to pay off for them college tuition for all those children. Being tough allowed her to make it without having a man she could depend on. I don't want her giving that up unless we're certain we can hold her down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was valid.
Evidence of slave ships. So I just wanted to know your opinion. Do you believe that we really came here on slave ships, or do you believe that we were already here?
There were Africans already in America. There were African kings who wrote extensively about their journeys to America. So it's no myth that Africans were already in America. Yes, we were here well before the white man. Christopher Columbus described us to a T in his own journals. He said he saw black people who looked just like the ones he had seen in West Africa. Remember, Columbus was in West Africa first. He actually spent the week at one of the slave dungeons in Ghana. I forget if it was Elmina or Cape Coast. And it was while he was in Africa that he was given a map that showed him how to get over to the so-called New World. In Africa, they knew that there were three water currents. One takes you straight across to North America. Another one takes you to Central America and Brazil. And the bottom current takes you to the Caribbean islands. So he didn't discover. We told him how to get over here. You see, my issue with, now to your question about the slave ships, one of the first things that they did post-slavery was destroy all the relics of slavery. My family, I'm related to Frederick Douglass by blood. My family was owned by Colonel Lloyd of Maryland. The University of Maryland is actually excavating where the slave quarters once stood in the back of that house, which is still there. And it still looks pretty much like it did then. The slave quarters are no longer there. Does that mean they didn't have slaves? Of course not. They tore it down because it became a badge of shame and embarrassment. You follow? But when the University of Maryland excavated, they found relics of the enslaved Africans right there in the area where the barracks stood. Many of the slave ships were destroyed. But there is a project. Somebody sent it to me last week. They charted every single slave ship, almost every one. Every one. Hundreds of. They got the name. They went through the logs. Somebody went through the logs. They got the name of every ship, the date, where they deported from, where they went to in Africa, and where they offloaded the car. How many lived, how many died. So we even have the database now. We have the database of the slave ships, who they carried, the names of those that they brought, how many they brought, who died. So it's without question that we came over on ships. But were we here before? Absolutely.